19. Double 19 it is. One leg apiece here. That was a tidy leg from Whitlock.
100.
He's twice finished second in the table as well, so he's been one of the most consistent performers since entering the Premier League. That was off the back of him reaching the World Championship final in 2010 when he really announced himself on the PDC scene. He'd been runner-up in the BDO World Championship in 2008. And now, currently, world rank number 3, Simon Whitlock, his highest ever PDC world ranking. So this is a year when he needs to win tournaments, Rob, doesn't he?
90.
He does. I mean, he won the European Championships, which is the biggest tournament he's won, but he needs one of these big majors. You know, the Premier League, the Max Play, the Grand Prix, the World Championship. He needs to stamp his authority as you know, the big player, the legend in the game. I mean, he is a great player and he's got a lot of bottle. As we see the second, that's the second maximum of the match. And I do tell people, if you're going to hit 180s, hit them against the throw, because they're the when you want the 12 darters. With the throw, you can settle for 15 darts, but against, you need 12 darters.
Chance for one here. 2 treble 19s. Nestler leaves the ball.
139.
Well, he's heaped the pressure on Anderson. Can still be done with treble 19. He's having to fathom out an improvisation on the combination.
52.
So, to break.
This is where he can't afford to miss. The big 9 is the easy part. The double 8 now, and straight in the middle.
68 rather than route 66, but he's in front. Gary Anderson, 3-2.
But Whitlock never really asked the question of him, did he? The 140 would have asked the question. It was very easy to go up and hit the 68 when your opponent is well over the 100. It's ironic that Anderson, his percentage of hitting the combinations is higher than if he gets 3 darts at a double. It's incredible.
Simon Whitlock earned a reputation in that 2010 World Championship as being the maestro of combination finishing. 20-figure ton-plus finishes were his speciality. That's Gary Anderson's speciality over the years.
Yes, I think if Whitlock could get that finishing power that he had when he first moved over, I mean, he was incredible. By far, even above Taylor and Barnveld at the time, who were playing at the top of their games. His ton-plus checkouts were incredible. And of course, when you've got that confidence, you don't only think, right, I can nick any leg, but it puts your opponent under pressure.
94.
Well, Anderson will have to go for the ball if he hits the 19, with Whitlock leaving his signature shot. Bullseye for Anderson. Wow, Gary Anderson! For Anderson, last week Whitlock lost 6 consecutive legs to Adrian Lewis. Consecutive legs and a centipede from Whitlock's opponents. I'll tell you what, Rod, he's going to be propping up the pile in the Premier League if he doesn't get a wriggle on here.
134.
2 heavy defeats is not the start you want to be looking at, especially when after 9 weeks anyone under that thick black line is going home. The bottom 2.
And what happens when you get on a bit of a bad run? It ain't as if the following week you get an easier draw. That doesn't happen in this. Every time you step up there, you're playing one of the world-class players that, if you're indifferent, you're going to get buried. So it's pressure every single week. The tour events in the middle, it can sharpen you up. But when you turn up after losing 2 out of 2, the third one becomes an awful lot harder.
95.
A chance here for Anderson again. A big score here will really put the pressure on. That's an absolute plum dart for Gary Anderson. Surely he can't miss this, and doesn't. What a time to fire in a maximum.
Well, this would be a time to fire in a maximum in terms of finishes. It's on all right. The signature shot.
145.
Goodness me.
Gary required.
That would have rocked the house. This will put Anderson for a guaranteed point, and Gary Anderson cleans up 45 and leads 6-2. He will not be beaten.
This is a good display from Anderson. Just under the 98 average, 3-1-80s, 4-1-40s. A good, tidy display. And Whitlock, really at 88, under 90 average, he will know when he looks at that, that's not good enough to win many games in this Premier League.
60.
5 consecutive legs run off by Gary Anderson to wound Whitlock.
97.
Whitlock has got a bit of a history of losing a lot of legs on the trot, hasn't he? I mean, it started with Andy Hamilton in the match play. You know, he's well in front. I think 15-8, goes on and loses 16-15 or somewhere around that score. He does have that history of, you know, getting in his head. He just can't stop the rot.
Next week he's got Raymond van Barneveld. Anderson has Thornton in a all-Scottish matchup. Well, he can't go out on 169, but he won't be worrying about too much about that. He'll just be looking to tee it up. Oh, unlucky.
123. So I'm going to require 167.
Well, another chance to finish on the bullseye. The treble 20 will give him that chance just on the bottom wire. So Anderson comes back to wrap this up, which will be a very good display of darts from the Flying Scotsman.
Tops then! And Gary Anderson wraps up a resounding win against Simon Whitlock. 6 straight legs for the Flying Scotsman. And Whitlock is whipped once more. 7-2 to Anderson.